Alright, continuing with word problems in percentages, we're going to focus here on markup, discount, and tax. Okay, so when we think about a markup, that is when something is increased in price. A discount is obviously when there's a sale or a drop in price. And then tax is always added to something to also increase the price of it or the cost of it. So we're going to start with the first problem, and we need to think again logically here before we ever get an answer. Always think about what should happen to our original value. Okay, so as we take problem number 1, we have a markup of 90%. Okay, so what that means is if we cost $20 and it wants us to find the selling price of each item. So the microphone costs $20, but we're going to mark it up by 90%. So what we have to do first is we have to find out how much the markup is. So what we want to do is we want to change our percentage to a decimal. So that would be 0.90. We're going to multiply that times our original cost, 20. And if we do that, so we do 20 times 0.9, and you get 18. So what that means is if we're going to mark up 90% on our cost, then that means we're going to mark it up by $18. So then what we do is we take the original, in this case, plus the markup, and that will equal our new selling cost. So our original was 20, our markup is 18, and that is $38. That's what our selling price would be. So again, that makes sense in terms of our cost should be more than what it initially was. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay. So this time we have a discount. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take our percentage, which is 40%, change it to a decimal, multiply that times the original, 3750. So if we do that, so 0.4 times 3750 would be 15. But this time we're going to do the original minus the discount. Now, why minus? Because it's going to lower our cost. So the original was $37.50 minus the discount, which is 15. So if we do that, we get $22.50. So the new cost would be $22.50. Again, that makes sense because it's a discount, so it should be less. Okay, let's take problem number 3. Okay, so we have tax. Now, you notice tax is a lot less, 1%. We wish tax was that low around here, but anyway. So the original price, so we take our percent, change it to a decimal, 0.01, because remember you move it 2 places to the left, times our original, which is 45. And then again, you can do this on the calculator, or you can just think about it logically. Okay, you're going to move it 2 decimal places to the left, which would be 45 cents. We're going to take the original cost, tax adds 2. So we add what our tax was, which is 45 cents, and we get $45.45. Which is why in the stores with tax, very rarely do you pay exactly a dollar amount for something. Alright, then we get to a problem like number 4. A little more difficult here, mainly because we have multiple parts to it. Okay, so we have both a markup and a tax. So this is really going to add to the cost. So we got to figure out what our markup is. and then we have to do the tax. Now, one thing to be careful of here is as you do the problem, understand the stages or the steps involved in doing this. Okay, so what exactly do I mean? So the stages are going to be like this. First, you're going to do the markup. So you're going to take the original, you're going to multiply it times the markup. I'm just doing this on the side here. Remember, you change your percent to a decimal. So this is just like what we were doing earlier. And if you do that, let me check here on my calculator. I think you get 17,544. Okay. Now, what you've got to do with that is you have to add that back to the original, just like what we did earlier. So 51,600 plus your markup, and that gives you 69,144. Okay. Now, that's the new cost with the markup. Now I have to do tax on that cost. So this cost is now gone. I've done the markup. I'm now using the 69,000 with the tax. So now I'm taking 69,144, multiply it times 0.06, the tax. If I do that, I get $4,148.64. That is the tax. Now I add it back to this number, okay, because now I'm done with the cost of the car. That value is gone after I did the markup. So now I do 69,144 plus 4,148.64, and if I do that, I get 73,292.64, which is answer G. Now, thinking about it logically, we know H is out because that is way too small amount. If we're marking it up and taxing it, we're going to be way over this. I also know J is out because that is less than what the original cost was. So it's got to be something bigger than that. Well, 34% of 51 is way more than just like $3,000, which is all that increase is. So logically, we should have known it was G, but this is exactly the steps involved in doing it. Okay, so let's come over here and let's do the last example here. Let's do number 5. So again, something similar. This time, though, we have a discount and tax. We're going to do it the same steps as earlier. So what we're going to do is we are going to take the original, $49.95. We're going to multiply it times the percent discount. So that's 0.32. So 49.95 times 0.32. That gives me 15,984. Now, I know we're doing cents here, but I'm going to go ahead and keep 3 decimal places. Now, I take that away from what the original cost was. So I subtract the 15,984 from that. And so 49.95 minus 15.984, and gives me 33.966. Okay, so now I've done the discount, and that original price is gone. This is now my new discounted price, which is less than the original, so that makes sense. Next, I'm going to do tax on that. So I'm going to multiply that by 0.01. So if I do that, that becomes 0.33966. Then tax is added back, so I'm going to add this back to that. So 33,966 plus 0.33966 plus 0.33966, and that gives me 34.30566. Now, since this problem is in dollars and cents, I round to the nearest cent, which is there. So since that's a 5, that's going to round up, and that would be 34.31. Now again, logically, common sense tells me one, it has to be less than the original. And two, these are really small. So those are probably out. However, in this case, you may not know whether it's A or C. Although C is less than half of this, so that means that would have to be at least a 50% discount. So you might be able to figure that out. But those are the steps involved in solving these problems. Remember, if it has two things, you do it just the same way you did as the original ones. As far as the steps, do it the first time, get a new value or price, then apply the second part to it, and then work the problem out completely.